Hello, I'm James Ezimoha. Welcome to Africa News, where we bring you the latest updates from across the African continent. Let's see your headlines. A South African mother and two men have been sentenced to life in prison for trafficking her 6-year-old daughter. Kenyans pay tribute to legendary author Ngugi Wa Thiong'o, who passed away at the age of 87. Former Congolese President Josheph Kabila, on self-imposed exile since 2023, makes a surprise appearance in Goma. Hundreds of Tunisian agricultural workers marched to the capital, demanding long overdue rights. Most of them were women, calling for better pay, safer transport and social protection. Despite recent reforms, many say conditions in the fields remain harsh and exploitative.
Tunisian women agricultural workers are once again calling for decent work conditions, years after a transport tragedy sparked national outcry. Most of them still earn below the minimum wage and work without health or social insurance, according to the FTDS. A 2019 crash that killed 12 women prompted legal reforms, including a 2024 law establishing social protection, but activists say enforcement has lagged. Since 2015, more than 65 farm workers have died and nearly 1,000 have been injured in similar transport accidents. Farmers say the daily struggle is exhausting and workers need their rights recognised.
I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You see, 3 o'clock, meaning it's the middle of the night. I don't sleep and go straight to work on this. The farmer we work for tells us to pick 4 sacks of this and says we won't return home until we've filled all 4 sacks. The pay is low, we need our rights guaranteed, and we need social security coverage. That's what we're asking from the government.
Tunisia's National Union of Women says legal protections exist, but without enforcement, little changes in the lives of rural workers.
Unfortunately, they still work seasonally in precarious, fragile environment with inappropriate conditions, deprived of most of their social and economic rights. It's true that a law was passed in October 2024 to eliminate discrimination between them and other agricultural workers, but that law also needs to be publicised, promoted and enforced.
Despite new legal frameworks, many women in Tunisia's agricultural sector remain vulnerable to exploitation and unsafe working conditions. Rights groups say meaningful change will only come when existing laws are enforced and workers' voices are heard beyond symbolic occasions.
Former Congolese President Joseph Kabila has made a surprise return to the country, appearing for the first time in M23 rebel-controlled territory. Kabila, who is wanted by Congolese authorities for alleged war crimes, met with religious leaders on Thursday. The government in Kinshasa accuses him of aligning with insurgents and undermining peace efforts.
Joseph Kabila, Congo's former president, reappeared on Thursday in the rebel-occupied region near Goma, his first public sighting in the country since going into self-imposed exile in 2023. Kabila is wanted in Congo for alleged crimes against humanity linked to the Eastern conflict. Religious leaders in Goma say Kabila expressed a desire for peace and national unity during their closed-door meeting.
You can note that the former president of the republic called us to express his wish to see peace return to this eastern part first and throughout the entire national territory. His wish is that peace be restored, national cohesion, but also living together. That is briefly what he told us in his message. Because for 18 years he built a tremendous work that is ignored. He did everything to reunify this country, and this same talent still exists in him to get involved so that peace can return. What we religious leaders are asking for is the return of peace and nothing but peace.
While Kabila's camp says he aims to promote dialogue, his presence in M23-held areas raises serious concerns among Congolese authorities. His return comes as the United States works to broker a peace deal between Congo and Rwanda. But Kinshasa says Kabila is now positioning himself as a rebel figure.
Somaliland has opened a new liaison office in Nairobi in a push to expand its diplomatic and economic footprint. The move has been welcomed by citizens and officials, but may spark fresh tensions with Somalia. Kenya insists the engagement is aimed at boosting trade and peace in the region.
Somaliland's President Abdirahman Mohamed Abdullahi inaugurated a liaison office in Nairobi on Thursday. The office is meant to improve consular services, attract investment and build regional connections. While Somaliland declared independence from Somalia in 1991, it remains unrecognized globally. Kenya reaffirmed Somalia's sovereignty, but said its ties with Somaliland support peace and trade in the Horn of Africa. President Abdullahi said the Nairobi office would turn policy into action and deepen people-to-people ties.
From this new location, we will translate our government's promise into a tangible progress. Our doors will be open each morning with clear priorities, and it is to streamline consular services for our citizens, dismantle barriers for traders and investors, and foster people-to-people ties that no document can fully capture. May this mission serve as a beacon of hope and a catalyst for prosperity. May it stand as a beacon of hope, a hope of innovation, and a bridge between our two great nations.
Citizens say the region's track record justifies formal recognition.
Yeah, I think the time is right now for Somaliland's recognition because they are a state, they have everything which pertains to a sovereign state. They have everything. They have their own money, they have got their own army, and they've been there for the last 32 years. They have held 6 successful elections where all international observers were there.
Somaliland has opened similar offices in countries like the UK and Ethiopia. Though they stop short of formal recognition, they mark a growing effort to establish diplomatic visibility.
Ghana's gold output is expected to hit 5.1 million ounces next year, maintaining its lead as Africa's top gold producer. The surge is credited mainly to small-scale miners, whose output jumped sharply in the last year. Rising gold prices have also strengthened Ghana's currency and boosted its recovery from an economic crisis.
Ghana's Chamber of Mines says gold production could grow by over 6% in 2025, following a record 4.8 million ounces produced last year. The sector's growth has helped stabilise the country's economy and boosted export earnings. Officials credit the gains to strong global gold prices and increased activity among small-scale miners. While large-scale output has remained steady, artisanal production has nearly doubled over the past year. The Chamber of Mines president says small-scale mining has driven the unexpected rise in total output.
Yeah, I think clearly one of the drivers is the gold price, but then where we are seeing the biggest impact is in the small-scale sector, because whereas the large-scale production stagnated around 2.9 million ounces for gold, for the small-scale sector there was a huge jump, a significant jump. In 2023, the annual production for that year was 1.1 million ounces, and then it jumped to 2024 to 1.9 million ounces, a significant jump at that. So that then spread that increase that we saw between 2023 and 2024 in production. So that's one of the reasons why that's accounted for the big jump.
Small-scale miners say higher prices have made previously unviable sites profitable, expanding gold production.
The small-scale mining sector has contributed a lot to the socio-economic development of the country in areas of jobs, providing about 1 million direct and indirect jobs to Ghanaians, and also it's a source of supply of raw gold for value addition and all that. You realize that these days the production level has gone up, one, because of the price of gold on the international market. Areas that were not viable are now viable, so you could see the small-scale miners are all making sure that they will cash in the gold prices.
Ghana's mining officials hope the momentum continues into 2025 as gold remains the country's leading export. The artisanal sector now plays a central role in both economic growth and job creation across rural areas.
Tributes are pouring in for Kenyan author Ngugi Wa Thiong'o, who passed away at the age of 87. His fearless writings and warm spirit left an indelible mark on Africa's literary and political history. Activists and journalists are remembering him as a revolutionary voice for the oppressed, as his legacy continues to shape new generations across the continent and beyond.
Ngugi Wa Thiong'o's legacy is being honoured in Kenya, where activists and writers say his work defined a generation and challenged the status quo. Jailed in 1977 over a play critical of social injustice, Ngugi later fled into exile and became a prominent scholar in the US. He spent a lifetime writing about African identity, colonialism, and the power of language, and his personal warmth touched those who knew him. Activist Ndungi Githuku, who shared moments with Ngugi, says his writings remain a vital source of inspiration.
Young people must read Ngugi Wa Thiong'o. It is only when you interact with his writings that you'll get to understand who Ngugi was. I was only one of the very few privileged to have sat with him and to have talked with him, burned the midnight candle with him. A hilarious guy. Ngugi would tell jokes like out of anything. He would laugh at himself. He would laugh at us, you know. He was quite a warm father figure.
Veteran journalist Parcelelo Ole Kantai says Ngugi stood for a generation that redefined what it meant to be African.
Ngugi was a towering figure of a remarkable generation. It is a generation that grew up, was born and grew up in the native reserve of the British colony, that managed somehow to transcend that, just to meet colonial expectations, and then transcended even that to begin breaking new ground as far as the meaning of being African is concerned.
Ngugi's writings, once banned, now studied across the world, continue to resonate as a call for justice and African self-definition. His life remains a beacon for artists and thinkers confronting inequality and reclaiming cultural identity.
A South African mother and two men have been sentenced to life in prison for trafficking her 6-year-old daughter. Jocelyn Smith went missing in February 2023 and has not been found. The trial exposed chilling details about the case and shocked the nation.
Kelly Smith, her boyfriend Jack Annapolis, and their friend Stephen O'Van Ryn were handed life sentences by the Western Cape High Court for trafficking Jocelyn Smith, Kelly's daughter, who vanished from a coastal town last year. A witness testified that Kelly had sold the child to a traditional healer for $1,110, saying her eyes and skin were desired. The court also sentenced the trio to 10 years for kidnapping. Judge Nathan Erasmus delivered the sentences, saying the law required life terms for human trafficking.
On the human trafficking charge, you are sentenced to life imprisonment. On the kidnapping charge, you are sentenced to 10 years imprisonment. Because I've imposed life imprisonment, there is no need for me to rule on the concurrency of the sentences, because by operation of law, it will be served.
Authorities say the child remains missing and a nationwide search is ongoing.
We are continuing day and night looking for Jocelyn, and we're still appealing to everybody that let's work together to find the missing child and all other missing child out there. that have not had the opportunity to have a case brought forward like today.
Despite the convictions, the fate of Jocelyn Smith remains unknown more than a year after she vanished. Her disappearance has fueled growing concern over child trafficking in South Africa and the urgent need for stronger protections.
That's all we have today in African News. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to A News.